Now we'll be moving on to verification. So for those of you who are seniors on the call, this time of year, if you've already submitted all your paperwork and everything's in line, you're probably okay and you don't have to do this process. But for many students, they might check in and realize that they don't see a financial aid offer and something's holding it up. And it very likely is the financial aid verification form, or sorry, financial verification form. And that usually, sorry, I've been told it's chosen at random, that students are chosen at random. To me, it didn't feel super random because I got it like 3 out of the 4 years I was in college. But it's just a normal process. It's not like you're being flagged for something wrong. So if you get chosen for this and you don't see a financial aid offer, basically what it means is that you just need to submit additional paperwork that's related to what you submitted to FAFSA. And so it could be copies of your own tax forms, tax return forms, or it could be those of your parents. And there's a form you fill out and then you provide copies of that paperwork. And then the school processes it and then tells FAFSA, yes, it looks like everything's in line, it's all correct, it matches with what they've presented in their FAFSA application, and it gets cleared, and then you will actually get to see your financial offer after that's submitted. Some students, when they get to this point, might need a different sort of verification. I had one student recently who was prompted to verify citizenship. And it was kind of a random one because I hadn't seen that before. And all they were really asking is just for a copy of like a passport or some sort of documentation that would confirm that they were not an international student or something else, so that they could demonstrate that. So that one's not super common. This one is, and so I'll let Yuri add to that too.
Yes, thank you, Jose. Like Sam mentioned, verification can be very scary, especially if you're the first in your family to go to college, because you are being asked for additional paperwork to verify what was inputted in the FAFSA. And it can be very overwhelming. So the first thing that I would say is if you're not receiving your award letter and everyone else, your classmates might be receiving their award letter, maybe check in with the financial aid office and ask them if, how your file is doing for your FAFSA. Is it incomplete? Is there additional paperwork that you need to submit? And be aware of the verification terminology. This can mean many things, like Jose mentioned. It's either verifying your citizenship status or verifying tax information that was inputted in the FAFSA, to just simply verifying your household size. Maybe in your parents' taxes, there's a household size of 5, but when you completed your application, there was actually, those numbers don't match, and there's actually a household of 7. So they just want you to verify that type of information in order for them to give you the accurate award letter for you. Also, verification, like Jose mentioned, it is chosen at random. That is what the federal government claims. 1 year you might be selected for verification, and the next you might not, and the next you might be selected for verification. Some students don't get selected for verification at all. I never got selected for verification during my undergrad or graduate years, so I was very fortunate, but I do know a lot of the students who were selected for verification. Another thing to know is that verification documentation does take a while to process, because a lot of students go through the verification process. So I always recommend to submit paperwork 4 to 6 weeks in advance. So don't wait until the last minute to submit paperwork that your financial aid office needs, because that may cause a delay in your disbursements. And I have a lot of students who go off fall term without any payment going through their student accounts, and they don't understand why. And when winter term comes around, they have an outstanding balance and they can't register for classes. because their financial aid hasn't paid. And this means that they have to submit paperwork because they were selected for verification. And this actually delays everything, causing you to incur interest on your student account bill, not being able to register for class. And there's a certain point where financial aid can't disperse anymore, and that's when it's past the end of the term. So you don't want to run into these issues. Verification can cause a lot of, just a lot of trouble for especially first-year students. So if you're on top of this and you contact your financial aid office and there's nothing wrong with asking them, how's my file doing, or I haven't received my award letter, is there something else that I'm missing? Just simply doing that can save you from a huge mess. Something else that I would like to mention is that if you're a dependent student, it's gonna require parental signatures. And I know that with these times right now, it's very hard to get that in ink, but there is some ways or some tools that you can use in order to scan over paperwork to the office of your Office of Financial Aid. One of them is using your iPhone. There's a camera feature on there that I just learned about through our team, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I wanted to show it to you guys really quickly. So if you go onto your notes on here, can you guys see that? If you go onto your notes, there's a little camera right here. If you click on that camera, it's gonna say scan documents. You click on that right there. This can scan a document, and then it's gonna convert it into, I believe it's a PDF. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's gonna convert it, and then you can send that to your email and then mail that out to your, email that out to your Office of Financial Aid. So there's things like that that you can do because unfortunately some offices of financial aid haven't changed their regulations of accepting e-signature versus ink signature.